honored to be here, and I don't have to explain the context. Mrs. Filotti and Mr. De Roos has explained why we are here, what we're doing, and the window of opportunity that we now have together to continue the important reforms ahead of the issuing of recommendations later this spring. I would like to pick up from what Angela Filotti said initially and point to this division, so to say, in the picture of Romania, where we can see a kind of a tale of two countries. We have, as Mr. De Roos said, explained, and as the Minister explained in the first session, we have Romania as a country with one of the highest economic growth rates, and we have it attracts foreign investment. We have key investors, big multinationals like Renault, Continental, etc., that are attracted to Romania by a competent and highly creative labor force at relatively low cost. So we have there a very positive picture. But on the other hand, we have another side. We see that this growth is not trickling down to everybody, and we can see that we have a part of the country, a part of the population is lagging behind, and we can see on this slide that Romania has the highest at risk of poverty rate in the Union. Of course, this mainly stems from the rural side of Romania, where 46% of the population is residing. So again, we see this split in the picture, which is very important that we address. If we look at the labor market, and Mr. De Roos has already referred to this briefly, but we see a very positive picture in a broadly stable and declining unemployment rate of 6.7%, which is far below the EU average. And the employment rate has been on an upward trend over the last 10 years. So that's also a very important... Oh, sorry, I managed to push too fast. So we see that's another important trend. But what we see, which is something that needs to be addressed, and which I think the Minister described very well in her presentation just now, is that we have groups at the margin of the labor market, such as older workers, Roma, disabled, whose employment potential remains untapped. And here we also have the young people, where the youth unemployment rate is very high, but if we look at the EU average, it is not dramatic. However, the NEET rate, which the Minister described, remains very high. And it's 5% over the EU average, and that's really that shows that we have some real challenges where many young people tend to leave school early, while others get lost in this very important transition from school to work. And here the Minister described that there is a very strong ambition to address this issue, which comes very timely, and it's very important that this is really realized in practice, in spite of all the challenges. Then an issue that has been taken up through the presentations, which is a particular feature with Romania. It's the strong migration abroad, with 2.5 million Romanians working abroad. It's a mix. There are very high skilled, but also low skilled Romanians that go to within the EU, to the UK, but also to the US. Here we have effects of this, of course, which means skills gaps, for example, in the medical sector, etc. That is also something that's important to address overall in the future of the Romanian economy, and also in line with the demographic developments that we have in front of us. If we then look at the if we then look at the key challenges, and here I can also refer very much to what the Minister explained, is that in order to address these groups at the margins of the labor market, what we see, learning from all countries in Europe, is that the National Employment Agency is a key player. Because the way this organization works and how it works together with other institutions is crucial for really addressing the challenge of bringing these people back into the labor market. Here we need, and we see from our analysis across the EU, that we need a broad range of active labor market measures. And here the challenge for Romania, it is that we're dealing with a framework which has prescriptive legislation which we see restricts the capacity for the National Employment Agency to really fulfill its role completely. And we have very constructive and very frank debates about this with the Minister and with the administration. Also, we need to look at the overall public administration part, the capacity and the autonomy of the agency. And here we have this important link to EU funding, where we have the so-called ex-ante conditionality, which the Minister referred to, and where we are working very hard to ensure that we have the fulfillment both of the issue of the plan, but also the realization of the reform of the agency, which then would release the necessary supporting EU funding. So this is a very important process to which I know the Minister is very committed, to which my Commissioner is very committed, and it's something that we will work very hard on in the coming weeks and months to realize. And here we also work very strongly with the so-called network of European employment agencies, where we exchange and try to see and learn from each other's reforms and challenges in order to support reform all over Europe, because this is not, Romania is not alone in this challenge. Coming back then to the social protection issue and the poverty issue, there we have several issues related to the rural side and the agriculture, where we have the highest rate of in-work poverty in the EU in Romania, 20%, and a concentration of monetary poverty in the rural areas of 71%. And here it is not always the amount of budget available, but it's also very much the capacity and the effectiveness of the social protection system that plays a role. And here we have identified issues of the effectiveness of social transfers, as well as the provision of services and the interlinkage between the social transfers and the provision of services. And those are issues that can make a very big difference These are tough reforms, but we see across the EU that when we do real social investment with the social protection budget we have available, this can really make a difference. And the minister referred to this, for example, to the integrated anti-poverty package, which has been proposed, and which is a very welcome development. It's also very interesting because it puts together a number of different EU funds, so it's a very good example of how we can work across the different funds, like the Human Capital OP, the Regional Operational Program, the FEAD, the Rural, etc., together with national budget to really create a sustainable program. So this is a very welcome development. We also have the initiative of the minimum social inclusion income law that we are looking forward to because it's ready. Excellent. So that's something that we're looking forward to, the adoption and implementation of that. Then going on to education, and this is something that has come up through the presentations this morning, and it is strong in the country report, that education is really the future for Romania. We see that the early school leaving rate is very high. We have very promising measures, but we need to see that there is a perpetuation of problems here going from parents to children. So we see that when the parents themselves have had problems, this is carried on to the children, and we need to break this pattern. And here we have a very promising initiative from the government in terms of early childhood education, which is the main measure to try to break this trend. We also see initiatives on vocational education and training, which are very important, of course. There we hear and we see that foreign companies are starting very interesting private initiatives, but they are still demanding more from the education system in terms of providing the basic skills in order to be able to use them, to use and employ more people. And as we've seen, it's a crucial element of the Romanian economy. So this is a big challenge, where we're also looking forward to working closely with Romania and to see more reform. Then a brief word on healthcare. We have seen positive developments in terms of short-term increase in the short-term viability of the system, but we still have shortcomings which are focused on the issues here on the slide: informal payments, the problem with health professionals, also very much linked to the external migration issue. And then also the need for a broader reform to go from from hospital care to outpatient and primary health care, which is essential for the sustainability of the system as well. Then something that has gone through my presentation, but also I think through all the presentations and the country report, is the issue of the development challenges of the rural areas, where we see the contrast of the high share of employment in agriculture with 29%, but only a limited contribution to the GDP. We see, as I mentioned, a strong poverty concentration in rural areas, gap in education, healthcare, and also, which was mentioned by all speakers, the challenges with infrastructure. So this is something that we clearly need to see a long-term structural reform in these areas. And then coming towards the end of the presentation, just to point to the input of the structural funds, and here we have a 4.6 billion euro contribution from the European Social Fund to implement structural reforms. And of course, that is a major challenge for the administration, as well as an amazing opportunity. But we need to, and here I think all the Commission services, but very much my team is working very closely together with the authorities to ensure that this is being implemented in a really efficient and goal-oriented manner, but also following the financial rules, which always is a challenge. Then finally, on the issue of governance and public administration, which has been mentioned by ministers and Mr. De Roos, this is, of course, crucial. And it's not only money that can come in, but it is that we need this reform, and we're looking very much forward to this reform really being implemented. We see, as has been outlined, very positive developments, but we need to see more improved governance, better performance, better capacity. The issue of regulatory impact assessment is a typical issue here, which can quite strongly increase the performance. And we've had some very interesting work together, for example, of the reform. I mean, some workshops on the reform, and also the issue of, for example, how we work with the institutions on rural development. We have some very interesting and strong initiatives by the Prime Minister. So these are key factors. And linked to that, I think we have also the issue of the work together with the social partners, which is very important, where we see that overall, looking across Europe, where we have a strong social dialogue, which is well functioning, where there is transparency and predictability and involvement of social partners, this can also, together with a high-quality public service, really be the ground of efficient reform.